Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Big Talk. I am the Commish, and with me as always is the hype man himself.
Looking good as always. How can I say? I mean, what else can I say?
Always looking good, but I think we have to address the elephant in the room, if you will, here, and the end of Fitzmagic.
Yeah, it is pretty devastating, and partially it's my fault. I tried to play him one more week. I pressed my luck, and I got burned.
Without further ado, I think a change in wardrobe is maybe appropriate, don't you?
Yeah, to be honest, I think the chain's got to go. So, there's that. Got those out of the way. They look damn good, but they just bring back bad memories.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. So what's the next hype train gonna be?
I haven't really found another train to hop on yet. I wanted the Baker train, but I kind of missed that one. So I guess the only thing left is the Ezekiel Elliott train. Have you ever heard of it?
What's that look like visually?
It's a lot like the what is it?
Is that like
I think he's telling them to feed him reps or something.
Is that like an old timey camera that you're?
I wasn't reeling film. I think he's eating a bowl of cereal or something. He's got a Fruit Loops obsession or Cheerios. I don't know what it is, but he loves cereal.
Go ahead and cue the Trump sounder, and we will jump right into some.
It's time for big news. Not fake news. This is really, real big news.
Okay, so I don't know how in tune you were with some of the very dramatic games that were going on over the weekend. I know you usually just kind of tune out at a certain point.
It's usually about 4 or 5 o'clock on Sunday. I could care less about football.
So we had a few pretty crazy finishes, one of which might have been the craziest fantasy game I've seen ever. Between TC and Brady, going into the Sunday afternoon slot of games, TC had 1 player left, Kamara. Brady had 4 players left, Marshawn Lynch, Jared Cook, Doug Baldwin, and the Chargers defense. And Brady was down going into it, but slowly made his way, back and took the lead. And it looked like at that point, okay, Brady's got 4 players. TC's just got the 1. The math here says that Brady is going to win this game, right? You're a betting man. That's what you would put your money on at that point.
Yeah, if I had 4 guys, he had 1, I'd tune out.
Right.
That's it.
That's not exactly what happened. So Kamara just won't stop scoring. Kamara, with like 2 minutes left in the Saints game, scores a 3rd rushing touchdown, a 46-yard run, and suddenly TC is up 10 points with like no time left in the Sunday afternoon slots, right?
Oof.
So if you're Brady, all of a sudden, even though you got 4 players, like you're thinking, oh my God, TC just came back, even though I had the lead there briefly, and now TC is going to win this game, right?
Yeah.
So the Raiders are down 8. They drive down the field against the Browns. Lo and behold, Jared Cook gets a game-tying touchdown reception. And just before that, the Chargers defense got interception, which puts Brady up like a half a point with no time left in this game. And so that then leads to the Raiders going into overtime with the Browns, and Brady pulls off this miraculous roller coaster win, and it was gut-wrenching. Brady called me immediately after the Jared Cook touchdown. He was on his way back from, I think, a hockey game with his girlfriend, and he's freaking out, trying to get as much information as possible. Naturally, he's driving. He can't see what's happening. And, there's a lack of information. He's excited, but he's nervous. A lot of emotions going on. And it was just unbelievable.
Brady's already kind of an emotional wreck as is. So I can imagine what that kind of high stakes scenario can do to a guy.
So Brady ends up
Needed
winning
that
that game by 13. He actually sent us a video that we will now watch live together. He also sent me a text, which gives a little bit of an introduction to the video, which I will go ahead and read real quick to give some context.
Make it quick.
Brady says, "To my boy, Jared Cook, a short note cannot describe the immense satisfaction I've been given due solely to your dominating performance on Sunday afternoon. I've seen and done many things in this life, but this satisfaction on this day trumps all other previous accomplishments. I'm sure that you had been given word about TC's fantasy squad taking a slight lead over me and my team, and that you took it personally. So personally, in fact, that you decided to rack up an astounding 31 points against a Browns defense some have called really good. Your effort will live on in my heart for an eternity and a day. Your boy, MB."
Wow. Wow. It's pretty heartfelt. What is that, Edgar Allan Poe?
So, without further ado, Brady's message for our listeners and TC.
Boys, this is a story about a fantasy matchup that took place this past week between myself and TC. Oh, rest in peace, TC. Goes like this. Your boy was hooping and hollering around the place. You should have seen the look on your best Buck's face. I was thinking my team's gonna get out of last place. Man, this year ain't gonna be such a waste. But then Camara got the third TD, and everybody in the place was looking at me, 'cause I was lying face down on the floor, screaming out, "Boys, I can't do this anymore." But then I saw my boy Cook, and my God, man, I couldn't even look, because I knew what he just did to DC. He was gonna feel the same heartbreak as me. But then I thought again about Cook and all the defenders that he must have shook. And then I slowly picked myself up off the floor, and my boys kicked TC straight out the back door. And just like when I was with Drew, I was yelling, "Give me some more, dude." TC in the middle of the night screaming out, "Ow."
Wow.
I mean,
That's...
there's not too many fantasy games that inspire, a reaction quite like that.
Yeah, that kind of makes me wish I would have watched a little bit more.
Naturally.
Maybe I can afford NFL Sunday Ticket after that.
I think we all can. Thank you, Brady, for sending us that heartfelt song and message to the league. Keep grinding, man. So that wasn't the only crazy game, actually, this week, believe it or not. We also had a pretty wild finish Sunday night between Tony and Chris. Little sneaky Willie Sneed. He caught some passes late in that game against the Steelers, and that was enough to put Tony back on top over Chris. We also had a couple of failed comebacks. Nick and Joe were in a Monday night situation where Nick had Sammy Watkins left. Sammy Watkins ended up getting his hamstring hurt, and so that comeback was failed. And then we had Drew and Jesse, the game of the week. That was a pretty exciting game. Jesse was down, 40 points or so going into the Monday night game. And of course, he had Mahomes, Sanders, and McManus. And it was looking like a comeback might actually happen there. But Travis Kelce, who Drew had, ended up catching a late touchdown. I don't know if you were watching that game at all. No. Caught a late touchdown, and that ended up fending Jesse off, kept keeping him away from the comeback, and Drew won that game of the week. Your thoughts?
My only thoughts are, I saw Kelce getting flipped off by a guy in the stands. Is that relevant? I saw it on Twitter, Facebook, who knows? One of the social medias.
I think most players get flipped off in opposing stadiums almost every game, but you think that this moment in particular stood out?
To me, anyways, it might be irrelevant to some people, but to me, it's all about sportsmanship. So, or not. Maybe it isn't. So,
who's to say? So we'll transition now. I would like to talk to Aaron. He's 0-4, and he's on a little bit of a league taco watch.
Hey, cue the sounder.
Yo,
come on.
It's time for the Big Hotline.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Aaron Nelson
Is not available.
Understandable, potentially, that Nelson might be dodging us, being 0-4. He might be in another country right now, for all we know. So let's talk to Tony now. Give him a try.
Yeah, what's up?
Tony.
What's poppin'?
Hey, man, you're on the Big Hotline with Hype and the Commish.
Wow.
How's it going?
Wow. Well, I'm hanging in there. How about you boys?
Man, we are happy to be talking to you, I got to say.
God, the feeling is mutual.
You were able to clutch out a victory over Chris, which means that you're still in the house, right?
Yep. Brittany has let me stay for at least another week. I think I owe it all to my guy Willie Sneed. He kind of pulled through for me.
He did, and that it came down to the wire there, but he had some clutch catches at the very end of that Steelers game. And, you always got to be looking out for Willie Sneed. I don't know. People always count him out, but he's just a sneaky little guy, and he gets in there and he gets catches,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's a hidden target. Actually, Harbaugh owed me a favor, so I called him up and told him I wanted to cash in on the favor, and he pulled through for me. So, I mean, I got to thank Snead. I got to thank Harbaugh. They made it happen. And, Brittany's letting me stay. So it's been a pretty good week so far.
Yeah, I mean, Hype and I were just discussing, and, Hype was predicting that if you were to be kicked out, you probably wouldn't get custody of your newborn. So that would be a double loss for you.
I would have lost it all. Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten the dog. I wouldn't got the baby.
Oof, not even the dog.
I think it would have just been me in a hammock. Yeah, so it would have been rough, but
yeah. Well, hammocks are cheap on Amazon, so 2-day delivery. She's pretty knowledgeable on the IFL then, huh?
Yeah, no, she's the woman behind the man, and she's the fist behind the hand. So I owe it all to her. I mean, that 2-2, I tell you what, that it would be 0-4 if it weren't for her.
Yeah, you ain't kidding, buddy. You and me both. Somehow she would affect me too.
Somehow Brittany is like the main reason for the Hype's success this season and the team that he assembled. That's kind of a bit of a revelation here live on the Big Talk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know that, so actually, her and I will have a talk after this.
Okay. I'll just delete her from my phone here. Let me find her. Her name is Coach. Is her name here? Okay.
Yeah, she said that Curtis is a little bit tougher of an opponent, so she said she'll just put me in the guest room if I lose this week. So there's a little bit lower odds, a little bit lower risk here, but we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a close matchup between us, so I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I don't know. It's going to come down to the wire.
But how do you really feel?
I'm gonna cream him. I'm gonna kick his ass.
That's what I'm looking for, I think. So appreciate you joining us on the Big Hotline, Tony, and good luck this week, sir.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. I really appreciate it.
No problemo.
The pleasure's
All
ours,
right.
sir. See ya.
See ya. Let's try Richards.
Let's try him.
Hello?
Jordan.
Hey.
Hey, man, you're on the Big Hotline with Hype and the Commish.
What's up?
Oh, nice. What up?
Here you are, back-to-back weeks, putting up 166 points and 142 points. You won 3 in a row. What would you attribute your success to?
Well, one thing, as you can tell from the name, I'm trying to really attribute a lot of things to what Big Brett says. He really, a lot of people watch, I've heard and read through message boards and talked to a lot of people about this podcast. And with a lot of the listeners that come in, a lot of people don't necessarily think his advice, I don't always think is useful, but I think he lays it out in just such a usable way to really, just get better. Like he says, just always working to get better. And that's what I've been really focused on doing the last 3 weeks.
So you're saying that the majority of the audience is actually reacting negatively to Big Brett, but you specifically are on board with what he's preaching.
I've never been more on board with anything my whole entire life, and it's really, I think, starting to show throughout the team.
Are you liking the new waiver system? You weren't. I don't think you were fully on board at first, but it seems like you might be okay with it now.
At first, I actually haven't used it a whole lot. I still have a lot of my points, and kind of my skepticism where it came from is just in fear that the situation Brady's put himself in, now that he's pretty much unable to get any big names right away. So my fear in that hasn't necessarily came up too much, because I think other people have some fear in that. So it's working out so far, but it is running a little smoother than I assumed the transition would have been, I think.
I specifically requested that the Hype not bring this up, but he went ahead and asked the question anyway. So here we are now.
The craziest thing about Hype is he just kind of does his own thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you really, I can't control him. He's in here.
Yeah.
I tell him to turn his phone on silent, and it's going off, nonstop. It's just a lot to deal with.
I'm just
the whole
hoping when I
package.
watch, he's got the chains on. I know me and him have a big disagreement on Fitztragic, whatever we're calling him now, but the chains better be on.
We'll just have to tune in and see. You are playing Drew this week. You guys are both 3-1. Thoughts on that matchup?
But looking at the new projections, it's looking like I might be able to really hold my own against someone like Drew, who I usually seem to struggle with. So I always have some fears when this time of the year comes up, but it's looking like Mixon may be playing, and if Tyler Boyd stays hot, I really think Bengals are going to kind of help bring me to victory. If the winnings comes in pretty big, I think I'm going to have to at least send Big Brett at least about a 5 or maybe even 10, depending on how much I win by using his advice.
We will pass that along. Thank you for joining us on the Big Hotline, Jordan, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Always been looking forward to getting on.
All right, and with that, I say we go now to Big Brett. Go ahead and cue the sound,
Ladies
boys.
and gentlemen, it's time for Big Brett's wise words.
Hey, it's the Commission Hype.
We're back, baby. Better than ever.
Reviewing your picks from last week. Not sure how the math works out on here. You did this yourself, but it looks like you went 18-0 last week. Is that right?
That's what I had.
Well, you sent in the math on that to us, so we're just taking your word for it.
Well,
There's no way we can double check that. I mean, there's no way.
I mean, it starts with the call of the year. I mean, if I make a better call than Fitzmagic needs to be benched after what he'd done, and he got benched and is no longer the starter, I rest my case.
Let's get into Big Brett's big bets. And what do you got for us this week, Brett?
On the theme of let's get you better, I do have 3 do not plays that aren't going to score any points. Cleveland against Baltimore's defense, the New York Giants against Carolina's defense, and Seattle, whose offense isn't very good. A couple players that, maybe you guys have, maybe you don't, under the radar. Rivers and Gordon for the Chargers. I see somebody dropped Josh Allen this week. I think what you got to look at is these young quarterbacks are going to be a little feast and famine, but I think he's going to have a big week this week. With that said, I wanted to give you, some thoughts or some ideas on, usable information, as Jordan was hoping for. So October is the best sports month of the year because you've got baseball, playoffs, college football, pro football, the NHL starting. You've got the return of hunting season. In Iowa, October means, the bow opener. So just like in football, you need to have some tools of the trade. You need to look at your equipment because it's getting into prime time here. You've got to have the right gear with your clothing, your boots. This little thing right here could be the difference in having success or not. This little can that might attract a deer, and it's no different than you looking at the details of the league. 'Tis the season, get into it, get better this week. Also wanted to give a shout out to Joe Rhodes. Prediction there for him this week is that he'll have his 3rd straight strip, sack, fumble recovery. Go get him, Woodward Granger Hawks.
See you next week, Big Brett. Hype, I can't help but notice you went back to the chains. I mean, is Fitzmagic's over and done. We had a whole thing of you taking the chains off, and now you're just going back to it for the looks of it. Is this Hype's look now? It no longer represents, symbolizes Fitzmagic, but the chains look so good, I gotta say.
I think we need a Monday night question on this. I think we need to take a vote or something. I mean, I've never been good at giving my own style advice.
Tune in next week for the Monday night question.
Chains, though. Chains are cool.
Chains are great. All right, folks, that's going to do it for episode 3 of The Big Talk. Today's episode is brought to you by Iowa Fantasy League custom mugs. You've seen them on the show. You know you want one. Order now for only
$15.99.
$15.99.
Oh, maybe that was a little expensive, but we don't have a say in the matter. So we got to make money.
Thanks to Brady, Jordan, and Tone, and Big Brett for joining us. We will see you again next week. I'm the Commish, and this is Hype.
Adios, everybody.
Hey, you might want to keep your phone on silent when you're in the studio, okay?
All right, man. It was an accident. Look, honest mistake.
Seriously,
it won't happen again.
I can replace you in 2 seconds. There's so many other hypes out there that are so hungry. And you got to take this seriously.
MNOPQRSTUVWXYZ.
Wow, that was good stuff. All right, that's all the time we have for you.
Is that going to make it in the podcast?